We start this hour with breaking news from here at the BBC, actually. The BBC announcing that Gary Lineker will be leaving the corporation now, sooner than originally planned. It's understood that bosses considered his position untenable after he posted an image on social media that was considered to be anti-Semitic.
It's the worst thing I've seen in my lifetime. I've seen so many images of children that, I've got no skin in this game. I'm not Muslim. I'm not Jewish. I'm not Israeli. I'm not Palestinian. So I see it, I think, purely from the outside, as from a neutral perspective. And I can't think of anything that I've seen worse in my lifetime. The constant images of children losing their lives day in, day out. Now they're talking about, it already looks like it's happening, going into Rafah, where they've sent everybody down there. So, I don't think you can be, it's not anti-Semitic to say that what Israel is doing is wrong. And I just can't see how everybody doesn't see it that way now. I cry on a regular basis when I see certain images on social media.
Last week, he reshared a post on social media which referred to Zionism and also which included an image of a rat. Now, the rodent has historically been used as an anti-Semitic insult. He quickly deleted the post and later apologised, saying he hadn't realised the significance of that and he would never knowingly post anything anti-Semitic.
I hate interviews. I don't try not to do press because I've got an ulterior motive. It's always about them.
This is Miss Rachel, hanging out with her new friend Rahaf. Miss Rachel is like YouTube's Mr. Rogers, with millions of subscribers and billions of views.
Can you nod yes?
And Rahaf is a 3-year-old double amputee from Gaza. She lost her legs when her home was bombed, and months later was medically evacuated to the U.S.
إحنا رايحين على أمريكا عشان نكمل العلاج.
Miss Rachel saw a video of the little girl, now living with her mom and a host family in Missouri, watching her show.
She's just so precious. Hopping like a bunny, and she was kind of hopping on the couch.
And arranged to have Rahaf come visit her in New York.
You want people to think that you were honest and kind and all the obvious virtues, don't you? Well, I'd like people to remember me as a good soul, I suppose. A nice chap who did well. I know it's a difficult one because it sounds like I'm sort of suggesting to you what I think I'm like. But I think the same as everyone else, really. You want people to think you're a decent guy who didn't, hurt anyone, and hopefully, if there was a cosmic balance, I'd like to think I made the world a slightly better place than a slightly worse place. When you hire a caravan for a week, my mum used to say, leave it as you found it, if not better. So I sort of think of that, really. Did I do slightly more good than bad? Although, problem with that is, you got serial killers who did a lot for charity.
We have to remember, George, that Gary Lineker has been subject to an Israel lobby campaign, as the highest paid employee of the BBC. He was subject to this campaign for several years. Now, that campaign was led by UK Lawyers for Israel, which it has to be remembered when it was originally registered on Companies House in October 2010, it was registered as quote-unquote Action for Peace. However, in May 2011, the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs had a post on its site dedicated solely to the creation of the UK Lawyers for Israel. It later on, of course, hosted a 2-day seminar with the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Israeli Embassy in London, and of course, hosted several speakers from the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. it is essentially an arm of the Israeli government. And the head of this organization, which has militated against Gary Lineker for so many years, Jonathan Turner, actually has gone on record as saying that the blockade of Gaza will actually help decrease obesity and thus increase life expectancy in Gaza. Just so you have an understanding of what type of maniacs we are actually dealing with. UK Lawyers for Israel went as far as bullying an NHS hospital to take, or lobbying an NHS hospital, I should say, to take children from Gaza's artwork out of the hospital. I mean, it's just beyond belief. They've even had a role in editing textbooks in this country on the content that relates to Palestine. But the bigger question, George, as you will well know, is what exactly is happening at the BBC. Now, you have to remember that currently in a key position at the BBC, in charge of, according to the BBC website, upholding and protecting the independence of the BBC, is Robbie Gibb. Now, who is Robbie Gibb? Robbie Gibb is, simultaneous to his job at the BBC, the sole director and owner of Jewish Chronicle Media. Now, the Jewish Chronicle, which was found to be producing stories that seem to come directly from Benjamin Netanyahu's office, is a well-established pro-Israel smear factory, which has smeared yourself, I'm sure, hundreds of times, smeared me tens of times, and pretty much anyone who supports the Palestinian cause has, of course, been written about in derisive tones by the Jewish Chronicle. Now, surely that is a clear conflict of interest for Robbie Gibb to have this role at the BBC, supposedly upholding independence at the same time as being the director and owner of the Jewish Chronicle. But his conflicts of interest actually go farther, George. So on his personal declaration of private interests, Robbie Gibb stated that he currently has a job at Kesk CNC, which is a PR company. So he's employed by this PR company, which was founded by a chairman of the Weizmann Institute in Israel, Gershon Kesk, at the same time as he's employed by the BBC. Surely, being employed by a PR company and a news company, these things would rub up against each other. But what also needs to be stated is that Kesk is a subsidiary of the Publicis Group. Now, the Publicis Group, according to its CEO, has staff that are currently in the Israeli military fighting in Gaza. Again, a massive conflict of interest. Also, Gibb has a paid role at JL Partners, which was founded by James Johnson, a pollster for Theresa May, and Tom Lubbock, a former pollster for the Conservative Party under Boris Johnson. But then you get to the question of the BBC's online Middle East editor, the very individual behind those headlines, which essentially put Palestinian deaths at the hands of Israeli soldiers in the passive voice and work to sort of invisibilize the Israeli bombs that fall on Palestinians. Well, who is that? That is Rafi Berg. Now, Rafi Berg is somebody that collaborated with Israeli intelligence personnel in order to write a book about them, and then was so happy with Benjamin Netanyahu's response that he framed the letter from Benjamin Netanyahu and put it on his wall. And that's right next to a framed picture of himself with the Israeli ambassador to the UK at the time, Mark Regev. This is the person that is editing the headlines regarding Palestine and Gaza in the BBC. But I've also looked into it, George, and found several people who were employed by the BBC after being in the Israeli occupation forces. So, for instance, there's an individual by the name of Ronnie Belenki. She was a project manager at the BBC after being a commander in the Israeli military. There was even an individual by the name Eli Ovitz, who claimed to be an assistant producer for the BBC at the same time as being a spokesperson for the Israeli military. You also had Bar Ben Youssef, who was somebody that was a BBC scriptwriter after being a soldier in the Israeli military, and someone by the name of Shirona Partem, who was a BBC news producer after being in the Israeli military. And another glaring conflict of interest was Mark Berg, who went from being a BBC editor to then going and being director of BICOM, Israel's largest lobby group in this country. And guess what he did after several years working as director of BICOM? He went back to the BBC and worked on the show Hard Talk, for example, and other key BBC shows. So really what we're talking about here, George, is what happened to Gary Lineker being a symptom of corporation capture. We are seeing clearly that Israel has pro-Israel forces deeply embedded within the BBC who will be working lock in step with the Israel lobby outside of the BBC to engineer something like what has happened to Gary Lineker.
We didn't have a choice. We didn't choose to exist. We just, you know, with the result of like 3.5 billion years of evolution, the chance of being born like 400 million to 1. It's great. It's a one-off. We'll never exist again. We didn't exist for like 13.5 billion years, and now we got 80, 90, 100 years, if we're lucky. And then we don't exist again. There's no point to it. As an individual point, you've got to find your reason to carry on living, and that's loads of reasons. There's loads of reasons to make the most of this crazy chance, you know, learning stuff, playing, friends, you know, just try and find out as much about the world and enjoy every minute that you can. Whatever makes you happy, do that without hurting anyone.
The British Labour government, which has backed Israel's every move all this time, now trying to persuade us that they think Netanyahu is going too far. Do you believe them?
Well, actually, George, as has been found, there were more arms shipments to Israel carried out by the Labour government than there were by the Conservative government. For starters, we know that Britain has sent the R1 Shadow spy plane on the top of Gaza, even just a few hours after David Lammy's theatrical speech in Parliament yesterday. We know that everyone from Lammy to Keir Starmer have been funded by key Israel lobbyists like Trevor Chin and others. And also on top of this, we know that through Akwatiri, Britain is sharing intelligence with Israel and has been helping it. One of the specialities of the R1 Shadow spy plane is target acquisition. So we have to even wonder, in the cases where British citizens were killed by the Israeli military on the very same day that you had the British spy planes over the top of Gaza, what type of culpability are we talking about here? These people are attempting to legally cover their backs. But also it's worth noting that the UK Foreign Office admitted that at least 80 British nationals were in the Israeli military just a month before October 7th. You've got an individual like Sam Sank, who filmed himself fighting in Gaza between December 2023 and January 2024. This was someone that also met Boris Johnson as an Israeli soldier. You've got other figures like Hani Volker. This is a British citizen who has been there fighting for Israel. Daniel Menza, and even the son of Lord Wolfson, a Conservative peer in the House of Lords. But you have to remember, George, that this is also a structural arrangement. You have an organization like Garan Tazaba, which directly facilitates the journey of people from outside of the Israeli entity into it to join the military, and sometimes even without having citizenship in Israel. So Garan Tazaba has offices in Finchley in this country and is still operating from here. But overall, we've looked into it, George, and we have found around 5 to 6 charities in this country directly materially supporting the Israeli military and its soldiers throughout the genocide. Now, what are those charities? Firstly, there's the UK Friends of the Association for the Wellbeing of Israel's Soldiers. Now, that is headed by the former head of British forces in Iraq and Afghanistan, Richard Kemp. And that organization has literally built swimming pools for Israeli soldiers not far from the torture camp of Sidi Tayman, where you've seen Palestinians by Israeli forces.
For years, radio was a way of, I don't know, but you could privately engage with with people, and they felt like you, at the best, they felt like you were a friend of theirs that they would listen to, you know, on a weekly basis.
Mm-hmm. And then how did you sort of work the material of then your podcast with Ricky Gervais, the Ricky Gervais Show? Before, was it sort of pre-planned, or was it like a more organic?
Well, when it was initially, it was just Ricky and I on a radio station, and we would kind of have a quick chat beforehand, and then we would just make up as we went along. And then we got given this producer, Carl Pilkington, and we asked him a question. He was just there to press the buttons and make tea and things. I forget, we asked him a question, or he was telling a story or something, and he said something about blah, 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 and the neighbours, you know, and they were the neighbours that had a horse in the living room. Anyway, and we were like, what do you mean anyway? Let's go back to the neighbours with the horse in the living room. And for him, that wasn't the interesting part of the story. And we quickly realised that he was sort of gold dust, you know, and he just, almost anything that you asked him was just dynamite, because he just had this completely unique view of the world. You know, we were talking once about celebrities who are only famous because of who their father is. So you know, Callum Best, whose father was footballer George Best, Bianca Gascoigne, you know, lots of, and we were saying they're only famous because of who their dad is. And Carl said, well, you could say the same thing about Jesus. And you're sort of like, yeah, that kind of makes sense in a way. And I remember we asked him once to explain evolution, and he said something like, evolution's easy, isn't it? It's you know, it's like slugs, monkeys, mermaids, man. You know, of course it is. And so he was just a never-ending, you know, supply of. It's like if you'd found a magic lamp, you know, and you could just rub it every week, and magic would come out, really. And so then it really became a show about him, really. And off we went. And so there was never any planning there. I mean, it was just showing up and winding Carl up until he spoke.
Can you see the Carl Pilkington radio shows coming back at any time?
The thing is with that is, people ask me, and I do miss it, and I even now and again listen to some of the old ones. Did everyone hear that question? Is Carl Pilkington's our podcast coming back? I don't think it would work. I think Carl became my little public experiment. It was like a cross between.
Because it felt so unscripted.
It was unscripted.
And that was
totally
what
unscripted.
was.
That is real. It was unscripted. He was like my little experiment, like a cross between. I don't know. Have you seen the film Lawnmower Man? It was like, okay. A cracking reference to anyone who has. But I always thought that Carl was like, I'd found a 10,000-year-old caveman and shaved it, thawed it out, put clothes on it, and then tried to teach it sort of art and philosophy and science. And I think, because he had a good brain, I kept telling him, I said, you've got a good brain, you just don't use it, right? And, you know, he found things that interested him, which were spurious and often apocryphal or nonsense, just things on the internet, you know, baby born, half monkey, half. I was going, it's not true, Carl, it's not true. He'd go, look at him. I go, it's just a hairy kid. He's a hairy kid. He's 100% human. He's got a lot of hair. It says here he's half monkey. It doesn't matter what it says there, Carl. It's not half monkey. But I think he became sort of a little bit more worldly wise.
I suppose it's that chemistry that you guys captured in that show. It's hard to replicate that kind of chemistry.
You couldn't contrive it. I discovered him. He opened his little slack jaw once, and he said something, and I just my ears went up like that, and I just thought, this guy's interesting. It's like I found him under a rock. So I don't think it would be the same. I don't think it would be the same. He's sort of retired now.
It doesn't matter how many times I re-listen to it. It's still it's still golden.
I listen to it about, people send me tweets of like clips, and I'd completely forgotten about them, but it's like the first time he heard about something that I might introduce a concept to him, and it's the first time, and I can hear his brain working. It's like a silence where, you know, he'd say things to me like childlike. He'd say things like, he said, "What's the most amazing fact ever?" I go, "What do you mean?" He said, "Tell me something that'll blow my mind." I said, "Well, the nature of infinity is pretty amazing." I said, "Okay, here's one." I said, "There are as many even numbers as even and odd numbers put together." He went, "No." I told him the theory that, you know, the model of infinity, the infinite amount of chimps working on typewriters would write it was Shakespeare. He wouldn't have that. He said, "Have they read Shakespeare?" I went, "That's nothing to do with it." I said, that's nothing to do with it, right? He'd go, I just don't think they do that. I go, no, take out cognitive reason. There's no choice. They've chosen monkeys to take out choice and reason. They're just hitting away like that, and he just couldn't get it. He couldn't get that it was a, yeah. So I think he's learned his lesson, and I think he's sort of content. I just don't think it would work now.
I wonder if we would have been censored more, because I feel like we're living in an age now that is a little bit more sensitive to things, and maybe we wouldn't get away with it. I don't know.
And kind of then in that vein, especially with An Idiot Abroad, the humour is known to be slightly more tongue-in-cheek, slightly more offensive.
Offensive?
Offensive, it's slightly.
Okay, no, fair enough. Again, I mean, I don't mean that disingenuously. I think because to me, Carl is like a sort of idiot man-child. It's like if a child says something offensive, it seems harder to take it seriously, if you know what I mean. And I think because of knowing Carl, that is sort of how I take it. But I can certainly see from the outside, it looks like he's offensive.
Yeah, but do you think in perhaps like our slightly more politically correct world, it's harder for comedians to sort of do their job because they're having to constantly tread the line and evaluate whether they are being offensive, as opposed to just trying to be funny?
Well, it's tricky, isn't it? Because Carl, you know, for instance, just to take Carl as an example in that show, you know, he's travelling the world and he's reacting authentically to the world around him, and he's ignorant. I mean, he is the little Englander personified. You know, he's a man, I'm not joking, who takes little bags of tea bags when he goes to, you know, Mauritius or something for 2 weeks. You know, he, like my parents might, you know, he's someone who, you know, he's someone who will go on holiday when he chooses to go on holiday and immediately look for a cafe that serves a full English breakfast, you know, while in Spain. And I think, therefore, if you send him to far-flung places, he reacts, you know, in an authentic way. That's not him trying to fish for the controversial thing to say. I think he is just reacting. And I think I don't think it's born from prejudice. I think a lot of it is born from ignorance or naivety, and I think sometimes that lands him into hot water, and other times it's sort of is weirdly sweet. Like I remember him visiting the wall that divides, you know, Israel from Palestine, and him just kind of just baffled by it. Like he was just like, it's so ugly. I don't understand. Like he doesn't understand the nuance of that debate. So to him, he's just this like a child seeing this monstrosity and kind of not understanding it. And so, you know, it's sweet in a way.
Time at XFM is often seen as being sort of the beginning of the podcast era, and helping sort of pioneer this new sort of resurgence of radio, maybe in a new form of entertainment. Are you proud of that sort of cultural legacy? Did you have anywhere that size in mind when you started out?
Well, it's funny, you know, as you walk around the Union, you see those pictures of, you know, pioneers in various fields like, you know, Einstein and Malcolm X, and we got Carl Pilkington to, you know, talk about eating, you know, when he's in the jungle. So yes, a pioneer in every sense. But I didn't know what a podcast was, and Ricky suggested there's this new thing where, you know, you download it straight to your iPod at the time. Whatever. Okay, I no idea. And we started doing them, and then it was fun because you had none of the restrictions of radio. It's obviously with radio you're still restricted in what you can say within reason. With a podcast at the time, it was gloves off. You could say anything. And it just suddenly, we were in the Guinness Book of Records for the number of downloads. I mean, that's because there was literally no one else doing it. So it's easy to win a world record when no one else is doing it. But now, as a keen podcast fan, I love it. I'm very proud that we were kind of ahead of the curve on that. And it's funny, I've done people's podcasts since, and they've talked about ours as being kind of instructive and informative for them. And I've met people, I was in Vietnam, I met people listening to the podcast, and people all over the world, because there's a great democratization with that. You can just download it from anywhere in the world and listen, and that's, I think, one of the most exciting things about media now that since when I began, is that it's kind of wide open. It's like an international field. If you want to do a podcast about...
Well, I was just going to say, the reason I asked that question, because you were talking about Carl Pilkington earlier, and I don't know if you would say that he's a clever man, but he was certainly incredibly funny.
He was incredibly funny, but it was his attitude that was funny. And if you took it by himself, there was still the relationship. He still needed a couple of pretentious media types thinking that they were winning, but they were losing, because he didn't care what we thought. So there was still a little bit of a dynamic going on. Not just... If Carl Pilkington went on the radio and said, all right, well, here's what I think, monkeys and that, people would go, why is this bloke telling? But because he was goaded by a couple of pseudo-intellectual media types thinking that they were embarrassing him, there became a texture to it, and people wanted him to win. People loved him winning. Winning would maybe making me laugh, or being proved right for something that, so there was still something going on. It wasn't just a man saying stupid things. So yeah.
I think in the first series he did not know what was coming, ever. And he was genuinely alarmed. And there's a lot on the cutting room floor of him just angry. Not entertaining for anybody. It's just him, no, fucking... I think by the second series, in order to persuade him to go, we didn't tell him the specifics, but we would give hints, just because he just refused to go otherwise. But normally the limits, if we were pushing him to the limits, that was not him play acting. That was him almost sort of trying to negotiate with the producers, as to exactly... I mean, the bungee jumping, we wanted him to do the full bungee jumping. He refused, and he does some tiny little... I forget, but doesn't he just jump off from a foot? He jumps from there to there, and it's pathetic. And so now, and then of course ultimately he's doing his own stuff now, because he doesn't want to share the money with us, or sensibly be tortured without him knowing it. Because that's the thing, once you make someone a celebrity, they then have a lot of power, and they can turn around and go, no, why on earth would I eat a sheep's jungle? But it's not him sort of turning it on for the cameras, really. It's not manufactured in that way. Yeah. And I think when you are very tall, and if you've got glasses or whatever, or I don't know, when you're a teenager, you have those insecurities, and I remember someone saying to me once, in an interview, do you think you use humor to control when people laugh at you? And that might be true, that might be just a fancy way of saying it, but I think there's some truth in that. And I think because I always sort of felt a little bit awkward in that way, it seemed natural to make fun of the way I looked, or the height, or whatever, sort of before anyone else did. And then as we moved into working with other people, certainly when I met Ricky, he was short and fat, and in my mind old. In actual fact, he was younger than I am now, but there we are. And Carl obviously does have a head like a fucking orange. So you use what you can have. Plus, also just sort of physicality is the using your body, particularly if you're tall. I think just it's fun.
Leave Carl Pilkington alone.
I love Carl Pilkington.
Yeah, but he must hate you. Does he hate you?
No, he loves me. We're best friends, but I'm just fascinated with him. We're best.
Does he have a family, Carl Pilkington?
What, sorry?
Does he have a family?
He has a girlfriend of, like, I think 18 years.
Children?
Who's no children, no pets. No.
How is he treated in public at large?
He doesn't go in public, really. He puts a little woolly hat on. He doesn't.
Is he well respected among his peers?
I think so. I think people are confused by him.
By him.
Some people think he's a character that I write his lines for him. Some people think
do that thing about where the humans and chimpanzees are...
I've been trying to... He didn't really go to school much. He went to school a couple of times. But over the last 10 years, I've been trying to sort of inflame his imagination. And he's got a good brain. He just hasn't used it. You know what I mean? It's... no, but I was saying to him that chimpanzees are genetically identical to human beings, right? 98.6% genetically identical. And I said, think of that, Carl. 1.4% difference. And Carl said, that's got to be the arse. Isn't that great? So good.
Yeah, I think he's right.
He's right. I was talking to him once, and again, he's fascinated with science and nature, and I was saying, Carl, there's a programme on tonight on television, it's called The Truth About the Giant Squid. And he went, who's been lying about it up till now? He's amazing. He's fantastic. I was telling him once, we did a Christmas podcast about the Nativity, and I said, well, you know, allegedly 3 wise men came on the day of Jesus' birth, and they brought him presents of gold, frankincense and myrrh. And Carl said, well, them presents were his birthday or Christmas.
Wow. That's good. And now you're sending him around the world on a bicycle with the star of the Life's Too Short show.
Yeah, Warwick Davis, who's a dwarf actor. And when I pitched the idea to Carl, we've just finished two series of An Idiot Abroad, where I sent him around the world. And then we're going to do a special. And I thought I'd step it up. And I said to Carl, I said, this time you're going around the world, but on a bicycle with Warwick Davis, the dwarf, in a basket. Right? And he didn't say, well, that's ridiculous. He said, so I'm doing all the peddling.
Ricky, let me ask you about Carl Pilkington. He is this great discovery that you made. There he is. He has a monkey on his back. You found this guy, and basically all you've done is ask him to be himself. He's a fascinating character.
Honestly, I feel like Anthony Hopkins in The Elephant Man.
Yeah.
Like I found this oddity and I'm taking him round the world.
Where did you find him?
By the way, this is true. That's Carl's favourite film, The Elephant Man. He loves it. It's weird. I wish I could have met him, but he's dead, right? And there's a bit in it where Anthony Hopkins shows off John Merrick to a group of surgeons, and he's naked, and Anthony Hopkins is going, you see the deformation of the spine, the limbs, and the only things that are totally normal and untouched are the... And Carl went, think of that, the one thing you would want like an elephant, and he gets the head.
But it's funny, Carl's never trying to be funny.
No,
it just everything he says just happens to be genius.
Honestly, he talks in one-liners that comedians would die for, and he doesn't mean them. He just because he's childlike. There's never any malice. He's got no filter. There's no pretensions. I sent him around the world because I knew it would be out of his comfort zone. And
it's a show, Carl Pilkington Around the World. You're doing it again.
Yeah, it's called An Idiot Abroad. He didn't come up with the title. He didn't even know it was the title until he saw the billboards. It's just great. It's like one big experiment. Like, you know, like you muck around and annoy mates?
Yes.
I do that on a global scale.
Yes.
Yeah. We're backed by millions. And I've just sent him around again. Idiot Abroad 3 is coming to Science Channel next year. And
you've teamed him up with someone this time, is that right?
Warwick Davis, who's the dwarf actor. Well, he's an actor.
Yeah.
Who's a dwarf.
Yeah. And
that's
you've
not his title, dwarf actor. He's an actor, and he happens to be a dwarf. I don't know why.
That's not on the business.
He doesn't put that on his. Well, it's because I told Carl once that when
Dick Whittington, he apparently walked to London and became mayor, and he took his cat. And Carl went, "Why would you take a cat?" He said, he must have walked twice as far, because cats wander. And he said, also, why didn't he take a little mate? So I've given him a little mate.
And does he gets along with Warwick?
No, he doesn't get along.
They don't get along?
No, they're arguing all the time. It's honestly, it's the best series so far, because they just bicker. And Warwick's so gregarious and normal. And I stitched it up, so I always gave Warwick a better room and made sure Carl saw that. And Carl's like next to a toilet with it's just so funny. And I was editing the final episode, and Carl asked Warwick the funniest question I've ever heard anyone ask, and he's totally serious. He said to Warwick, he went, "Have you got knees?"
What does he think of this?
And Warwick just laughed. Warwick just went, yes, I have, yes.
Have you watched Black Mirror?
Oh, no, I haven't, but it's...
Have you seen the thing?
The one about the body that we did on the podcast?
There's like a couple of them.
No, I haven't. I've heard it. Everyone tweeted me.
There's YouTube
I didn't see
stuff.
that one.
So
Shit.
there's Carl from Ricky's podcast, from the old podcast, predicted episodes of Black Mirror. Like they took, or the people who make Black Mirror heard this thing.
I think that's more likely, because Carl had a thing that he wished that when you went to the doctor could put you in a thing, and the doctor could feel what you were feeling, so he'd know, because it's hard to describe the pain. And that was it. And I was going, so hold on, how would this work, right? He had other ideas, like, he said, "I've invented something." I go, "What?" He said, "See-through skin." Well, you can't do it. You can't say I've invented something and then go, "Oh, I don't know the details yet," but just get on with it. Right. You know. So it's mental stuff he came up with. So it was perfect for this. But yeah, I didn't see it. But everyone said
I'm in the middle of that one now. Actually, the doctor who has the thing in his neck. It's really fascinating.
It's just funny because on the YouTube video, like they take from the podcast and the animated series, and they show like the setup for it, and then they show it in the episode, and then they show like you and Steven going like, "Why would it do this?" And then Carl explains this, and then they show it in the episode.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I just had a medical, right? I have it every year, right? And I asked the doctor, right, why still the finger? And they've got now what is it called? Where they can tell if you've got prostate problems from a urine test. He went, but that only one side of it. You can tell if they started this early so the finger's never going away. The finger is never going away.
Oh, you were saying, why do you still? Oh, I thought you wanted an upgrade.
All this stuff. They was taking blood samples and they were showing everything. But then he said, "No, I've got to stick my finger up."
Oh, right? You said, why still the finger?
Why still the finger? Yeah, and it's just not going away. They always need someone to feel it first, because it's early stages and that. So
yeah, and you fidget around in there.
That sounds like there's some doctors though that want to hold back some technology because they really. No, I think manually is the way to do this.
Well, I go there every year, and it's always and this guy is a big guy as well, and I thought, well, he's going to have a fucking huge finger.
Yeah.
I was waiting for it, and it's not the worst thing. The worst now as well, because they seem to hurt more. I don't know if I'm more sensitive, or because I'm thinking about it, they sort of shrink. So he has to dig in now and get my balls out of their
shrink up
like a little turtle going into their shell. You know what I mean?
Testicles.
Yeah, because I'm so nervous now about a fucking squeeze.
The skin kind of hornet's nests up against your
body. Honestly, he has to dig them out now.
I've heard about like somebody's like going back in when they get nervous or cold or whatever. I've never heard of somebody's going back into their body.
It must be a nervous reaction. I don't know. Which is odd, because my are longer and stretchier than they've ever been. So they should be easy. I mean, he could probably do it from across the other side of the room. But no, they were shrunk. So.
A rare white Bengal tiger named Kenya.
One minute they lick you and they may take a chunk at you, then 20 minutes later they may come and lick you. So you got to be, you have to be very cautious with them.
I mean, whoever got that footage is like gold, isn't it? You'd never thought, when you start following these people, although I went to a domestic cat show in New York, Madison Square Gardens. I thought I like cats, right? But the owners, I couldn't take my eyes off the owners. They were like the people in this. I did hairdos I hadn't seen before. There was one family that bred these cats, and the cats were obviously inbred. But so there was it looked like their faces were on upside down. That's the only way I could. I couldn't stop looking at this family. They were from the deep south, and they'd come up to New York to show their pedigree cards, and they all had the same face, and it all looked like it was on upside down. But yeah, some of the hairdos were incredible. I mean that's true with anything, isn't it? If someone's really, really in and nerdy and you love it, you're probably in a good way. You're probably not normal. Oh dear. Anyway, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's amazing. But don't keep tigers. I mean, how do we get? I'm trying to think. Oh, they're not as bad as them. They're all pretty bad. And how did we get to the point where there are that many tigers in captivity? More tigers in captivity in America than in the wild. When the first person said, "I want to keep a tiger," the judge should have said, "No, that's fucking mental. You can't keep a tiger. It's £500 and it eats people. You can't keep a tiger. I like them and I got the money. You can't keep a fucking tiger, okay? Get a dog. Get a budgie. Don't get a budgie. Don't get a budgie. Let them fly. Let them fly. But you know what I mean? Don't keep a tiger.
White tigers, like I used to see you in the pictures with them, and like what was it like? Was they babies? Did you raise them since they was babies?
Absolutely, I had their mother and their father.
Oh, you had the mother and father, and then they made the babies?
Yes. Yes.
You wasn't scared of these tigers, Mike?
Hey, listen, this is how it happened, Joe. I was in prison, right? And I was talking to one of my friends who I bought exotic cars from, and he was saying that one of my friends that he knew owed him some money. And he said, if he doesn't pay me any money, I'm going to take some of these cars and trade them in for some animals. I said, what kind of animals? He said, horses and stuff. And he said, Mike, they have some nice tigers and lions, too. If you got one of those, that would be so cool, a Ferrari. I said, yeah, that would be true. I said, why don't you order me a couple when I get out? So I'll be getting out in a couple of months. I was in prison. And so when I got out, I came home, I had 2 cubs.
Yo, that's fucking crazy, Mike. Like you had tigers in your house, and then they was fully grown by the time you had. So, yo, Mike, there's a rumor that one of them jumped over the shit and bit the neighbor's arm off or some shit.
No, Joe, that's not what happened.
Tell me what happened, Mike.
Somebody jumped over my fence where the tiger was and jumped in the inhabitant and started playing with the tiger, and the tiger didn't know the lady, so it was a bad accident.
Oh, so she jumped over the gate?
Yeah, she jumped in the property where the tiger was at.
Let me ask you a question. They sued you for that shit?
Well, they tried to until they found out that she jumped over the fence and then she trespassed with the tiger. And listen, when I saw what the tiger did to her hand, I had a lot of money back then, so I gave her $250,000, whatever it was, because she was just fucked up, Joe.
Yeah, that motherfucker took her arm off, huh?
Oh, Joe, you can't believe what they can do to a person's flesh. I had no idea.
No, I know, because out in Dubai, my little man, Rashid Ben Hassan, his house is a zoo. So, like, when they eat dinner, you look this way, it's tigers, you look this way, it's lions, it's insane. They own a zoo, and so many animals there, him and his father and them, and they put me in with a tiger, and the motherfucker, he's so big, but he's so quick. And
listen, incredibly quick for something that's 500 pounds, 600 pounds.
You are not getting away from a tiger if he wants your ass. There is no way around it.
And they kill you in like 3 seconds, so you know you're not gonna live long.
You know, I seen the tiger get fed. I seen a motherfucker throw like a piece of steak up to like a tree. It was like the 4th floor of a building, and the motherfucker jumped up there, hit the tree, and grabbed the steak. When I saw that, it erased every hope of me ever running away in the fucking jungle from a tiger.
No, you don't stand no chance, man. They kill you with one swing. Bow, you're dead. Your neck is broken.
So it's pretty much like Russian roulette fucking with these tigers, huh?
Hey, listen, know what I've learned? I was foolish that there's no way you're going to domesticate these these cats 100%. There's no way that's gonna happen.
Yo, that shit is crazy, Mike, because...
They kill you by accident. They don't even mean to kill you. They do it by accident. They're too strong.
Yeah, I'm sure they killed motherfuckers and was looking at their owner like, yo, what happened? Why he ain't getting up? They just don't realize they're like a fucking truck.
No, especially when you're playing rough with them. You're punching them back and they're getting hyped back and they hit you back and you're dead.
Yo, Mike, you was boxing with the motherfuckers, huh? Like you was...
Oh, I loved them. I used to sleep with them. They were my... I'm just happy I educated myself. It was late, but I've educated myself that I was doing the wrong shit. I shouldn't have had them in my house. I shouldn't have had them domesticated. At least believing that they were domesticated. I was wrong.
No way in the world, yo.
Amazing band. Gold in the Air of Summer. I chose that one because we finally had a nice day in England. I don't know where you are in the world, but we've had a terrible year. I don't want to be that bloke that complains, but it's been shit. And people say, oh, it's good for the farmers. They need a bit of sunshine too, though, don't they? It's like they don't just want 6 months of rain. What are they farming? Mould. I'm a mould farmer. I'm a farmer, apparently, sort of officially, because I own an orchard and a distillery, because a Dutch barn in a war. I could say I can't fight. I've got to go and turn apples into ethanol. I don't know what would ever want me now. Maybe 40 years ago. I don't even know if this is working because it doesn't come up anymore. It just tells me how many people are watching, but it hasn't got all the little things before, because I think you have to be don't you have to join just to ask a question or something? I don't know. Something stupid. I don't understand it anymore. I mean, I could check. Why don't I check that I'm actually broadcasting? I'll go on my laptop and see if I'm actually broadcasting. I'll be all out of time, won't I? Hold on. Yeah, it's going out. It's happening. Good. Do you remember I did it once for half an hour and it wasn't broadcasting? Fucking annoying. I mean, it's already a waste of time. So to waste that time, I mean, it's a double fucking waste of time. My red face. I caught the sun a bit, didn't I? Played tennis. Yeah, I've been eating peanuts. That's why I'm doing that. I'm not prepared for TV, am I? That woman got in trouble for doing that. I'll just be on there reading the news like that. Be like that. Yeah. More inflation. Earthquake. Right, let's get through the questions. I put it over that side for a change. Sam B. If you could only listen to one artist or band for the rest of your life, who would it be? Oh, that's too hard, because it wouldn't matter who it was. Was it like the first one that sprang to mind, David Bowie? But if I could only listen to David Bowie, it would still send me mental. You'd need someone with a massive catalogue who maybe changed, lots of different... So, I mean, he's like prime contender, I'd have thought. One that's never let me... There's a few that... Bob Dylan, Neil Young. I mean, all the things I listen to anyway. And I've never stopped listening to those. Cat Stevens. So yeah, I suppose I could... Radiohead, maybe. Tricky. Oh, God. I'd just be thinking... I'd go, oh, I wish I'd... Whoever it was, you'd go, oh... That's too difficult. I'll go David Bowie. But whoever it is, that is the beauty, isn't it, of variety and choice. That makes me laugh when people used to complain about there's too many channels on TV. You don't have to watch them. Oh no, there's 200 channels. Yeah, just watch the one you like. Or better still, don't fucking watch. Isn't telly shit? Isn't ordinary telly shite now? God, blimey. I think the only thing I watch on terrestrial telly, The Chase, where one of those with titty. I think that's it. I watched The Apprentice when it was on. I just watched Netflix every night, or some sort of streaming, or there's no reason to just sit in front of a telly and have no choice anymore. I think everyone agrees with me. Julia Campbell, have you watched Kin? Talking to telly, I think it's fantastic, especially the second series. I haven't, but it's on the list. It might even be next. We're just finishing something off. Do you have any new programme recommendations? Well, this year, I think maybe, I don't know why, it might have been a mixture of COVID, the writer's strike. There seemed to be less new stuff. So I watched Borgen from the beginning, all like 5 series, and the 10 years later. And we watched The Bureau from the beginning. And that gave us a couple of months. Last really, really good new thing I watched is a thing called Deliver Me, a Swedish sort of crime drama, but more. Really good. Always watching the original. I don't think I've watched an English-speaking series for years now. Always watching the original language, never watched dubbed. They're unwatchable, dubbed. So watch Deliver Me. I think it's Netflix. Watched a good documentary the other night, Football Fraudster, about this guy who pretends to be like, superstar sportsman, cons people, always good. Like the sort of Tinder swindler type thing, they're always good. And this one's, there's this psychiatrist that sort of analyses it and, tells you what he's like and how he gets away with it. Really good. Yeah, so Kin is on the list. I have heard good things about that. Taco King, what's your favourite line you've ever written? Oh, that's impossible as well. I've written a lot of lines. The first one I thought of then, and this is from the early days where people say, what's your favourite line from The Office, was probably, I think there's been a up there. But I've written a lot since. And it's all about context as well. That's a funny line because of what's happening. Brent wanting to be the centre of attention. He's trying to win by just... It's all context. That any line by itself is nothing. It depends what's happening. Unless it's a one-liner. So maybe something from a stand-up or... But I like there's lots of lines I like. Like from Afterlife. I'd rather be nowhere with her than somewhere without her. There's lines that I'm sort of proud of, but it's all contextual. Some stand-up lines maybe. Lines from the Golden Globe, because they're so standalone. They've got to be like just perfect one-off. What that were? I like the one from the last one when I said to them all, if you started a streaming service, you'd call your agent. when I said they spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. So they're sort of like, I suppose they're good standalone lines. I think one of the first lines I ever wrote for the Golden Globes when I was doing it was, I like a drink as much as the next man, unless the next man is Mel Gibson. That's hard, that one. Keena, do you ever plan on writing a book? I assume you mean a novel. I've written children's books and, script books and Brent's song book, but they don't count. They're too easy. But have I ever considered writing 100,000 word novel? God, blimey, it's too hard. I mean, the answer is yes, but then I go, it's too hard. Oh. I did think about it. I remember when I was sort of 18, 19, 20 and I was thinking of doing things. You know what I mean? You want to be a pop star and an astronaut and a novelist and all those things that you think of, an artist, all those things you dabble in, you go, nah, I'm not right, or it's too hard, or you find something you like more. So early days I might have. I remember when I was on the dole and I must have thought about writing a novel, because I used to go to the library every day. I used to go to museums and libraries and, spend my time thinking I've got to do something, either get fit or learn something. And I used to go to the library every day. And I remember looking at how to write a novel, one of those books, how to write a novel. And it just ended up annoying me. And it made me decide, if I ever did write a novel, what my first line would be, because this book annoyed me. It was quite a stuffy old book. I think it was one of those books that was written in the 50s or 60s. I don't know. But I remember I skim read it in the note, and it said, never start a novel describing the weather, right? And it said, never start a novel with swearing. And that made me decide that if I ever did write a novel, the first sentence was going to be, it was raining like a... Just because that book annoyed me. Oh, God. So, yeah. I do this thing with Jane, right? We're walking down the street, right? And there's just a really sweet old lady or man, like really sort of, classic, like 95, bent double, can hardly walk. I go to Jane, what's this playing at? Like that, right? To annoy her or make her laugh, right? And, and now I've got it that I can say it at the last minute, so it panics Jane. They never hear it, right? But I can even do it without looking, so just Jane can hear and it panics her. This person can't. I can do it without moving my lips now. I can go, what's this cunt doing? What's this cunt doing? It's a skill, isn't it? Oh, God. There's something wrong with me. What's this one? Andy Hughes. If you weren't rich and famous, what job do you think you'd be doing? What was I what was I doing? I was sort of in entertainment, so I couldn't be still doing, I couldn't be an entertainment manager at my age. That would be a bit much, wouldn't it? Organising fucking drill discos. Fucking hell. Well, the last real job I had, I suppose, was at the radio station, which is on the cusp, isn't it, of real job and popping up on air. So I'd probably be doing a normal job, but I might be popping up on local radio, or I don't know, or doing the odd stand-up gig. Because before I was doing this sort of professionally, when I had a real job, I was thinking of doing the odd bit of stand-up as an outlet. So, I don't know. And would I have been doing business things and being an entrepreneur? And I don't know. I'd still be doing something that was like quite fun and interesting. I hope. I don't know. Or go the other way and well, I mean, those are things that I could be a landscape gardener. I like gardening, and that's so difficult. I mean, I don't think I'd have retrained and or anything like that, or gone back into science, or I'd probably have a podcast, wouldn't I? Because everyone with normal jobs now do. So I'd have a normal job, and hopefully I'd be doing a podcast and being me, but people would be going, who the fuck is he? That's all. I just wouldn't be rich and famous, but I'd still be me, wouldn't I? Wouldn't I? Be a bit weird, wouldn't it? If I was me, but not rich and famous, and I still said all the stupid fucking things, they'd just think I was mental. Because at the moment they can go, oh, he's a comedian. Oh, he's rich and famous, he can get away with that. That is just a bloke going around saying these fucking stupid things. People go, keep away from him, he's mental. He's actually mental. Ash, what would you like to be in the next life? A frog, a chimp, or an elephant? And why? Well, I wouldn't want to be a frog because I wouldn't know I was a frog, would I? I might as well be a rock. Frogs don't sit around thinking, oh, I'll have a nice worm today. They don't think, do they? They've got no... I mean, that's like not existing, isn't it, really? For me to choose, I mean, it's fine if you're a frog, being a frog, but it would be I think, I love animals, but I think that would be a little bit of a come down. It's like I can't imagine not thinking, so elephant or chimp. I mean, the chimp is the one to choose, isn't it? Because it's the closest thing to humanity. Because I imagine elephants and chimps sort of introspect a bit. They're aware of, they're intelligent, aren't they? And they have emotions, and I think I'd have to choose chimp. Because it's the closest thing to what I can imagine being, I think. I wouldn't want to be a frog. Just being picked up by someone and you go, oh, fuck, they're a biology teacher. I'm fucked. I am absolutely fucked. I hate that. Chloe, any news on when you'll take your new material on tour? And I hope that hat wasn't one of your favourites. It was, Pickle likes destroying my hat. It was one of my favourites. But it's one of these, right? This isn't the one. This is a newer version. She's got an older one. I've got 3 of these. I play tennis in them. They are my favourite hat because they're really soft and stretchy, right? They're just great. They're my favourite. I don't know if Head are watching. One, these are the best caps ever. They're so comfortable and soft. They're the only ones I like wearing. You don't do them in black. That's one thing. Do them in black. I think you only do them in grey, white and blue, which is fine. I would have chosen black, but they're so good. I have them in other colours than my favourite colour. So, yeah. Keep that away from her though, so she can't destroy that one as well. That was like an advert, wasn't it? For Head. I should get some money for that, or at least a lifetime supply of hats. I could just buy some more. I think they're 15 quid. Any news on when you take a tour? Yeah, I mean, it's happening. I've done about 40 or 50 new material nights, honing it. I've got about 50 minutes now. It got to 45 really quickly, and I was sort of adding stuff. But when you got a really good sort of 45 and you add something, it stands out as not very good. So you go, oh fuck, that's ruined the 40. You know what I mean? You lose your nerve a little bit. Also, when you got 45 and you get better at that 45, you sort of do it faster and you hone it, and it goes back to 43. You got to put another bit in. So I've cracked the 50-minute mark, and when I've got a definite 60, I'll put the tickets on sale, and I reckon I'll do my first full ticket price gig in a theatre September, October, and I'll do theatres up till Christmas. Then I'll start doing arenas in UK and Europe, and I'll do all my favourite places, and America. I'll do, the usual. I think I'll do the Hollywood Bowl again, New York, all my favourite European capitals and all that. Get that done. Netflix have already. I can't say too much, but you will be watching it either live or on Netflix. That's all I'll say. Jeannie, could you take a week's vacation and not think about work? No. I don't think we've had a proper vacation, a week somewhere, walking, sitting on the beach, I don't know, for 30 odd years. I don't think I could do it. I don't think I'd do it now. I don't think I'd like it. Well, I never really, I can't do one of those when you just sit around the pool or for a week. I'd like a couple of days off. I like it when we, I do a gig and I have 40 hours off and I do a gig. That's nice. That's a little break. But I just don't think, I can't do anything and not think of work. I mean, I could enjoy not actually having work. I'd love a day off to mooch around and do what I want. I'd like a doing things holiday, a tennis holiday, or a windsurfing holiday, I suppose. But I think a week's even too long for that. A couple of days of that, a couple of days sitting around. I mean, I just think I'd use it to think of stuff and come up with new things. That is my favourite thing, having time to create. So it would be impossible now, I couldn't do that. I could do it, I could not be on the phone, but I'd still be thinking of work and thinking of ideas. Monsieur Dougal. Bonjour, Monsieur Ricky. Do you have a tool belt, and what's your favourite hand tool? I don't have a tool belt, but I like the idea of one. I'd like it to be like a bat belt though. It wouldn't just be for DIY, it'd be for everything, wouldn't it? Favourite hand tool? It's got to be an axe or a hammer, because they also double up as a weapon. So knocking nails in, smashing burglars in the face. Axe, lovely. Oh, I love an axe. It's great, isn't it? I love walking around museums when you see the medieval axes and Viking axes. We saw one axe that was like an axe with a pointy bit. So you could go, do I smash his face in or poke him in the eye? They feel right, weren't they? The axe or the little axe and the claw hammer. It's my favourite tool. Where the term tooled up comes from. I mean, the chisel, it's great. I watch those videos when they're just like making things. Just a real good craftsman just making something, a dovetail joint, you know. I love all that. Just restoring a table. I love all that. I just can't do it though. Well, I probably could if I put the effort. It's possible. I have the capability, I guess. If I did a year's training. No, I love good workmanship. I think it's great, but I haven't got the patience or the skill. Yeah. When talking of weaponry, when Jane ever asked me, she says, "Oh, it's your birthday soon. Give me a list of ideas." I do a thing like knuckle duster, shoe with retractable blade, walking stick that's a sword. She goes, "Oh, seriously, what do you want?" Individual drone, jetpack. Well, that's it, isn't it? What another load of bollocks that's been. Thanks very much for following. Thanks for retweeting everything. Thanks for helping animal charities. Can of water. We've even moved the where we get the water from to the UK to help the carbon footprint. Saving the planet, getting it drunk. Be nice to animals. Cheers. Tatty bye, everyone. Tatty bye.